Okay, let's call to order the City of Haslet Planning and Zoning Commission meeting on Tuesday, November 19th, 2024 at 6:40 p.m. Item 1 is called to order. Item 2, citizen participation and comments. Do we have any? None. We have none. Okay. Items of community interest. So Christmas in the Park, Saturday, December 7th, 3 to 7 p.m. So pass the word out to everybody that you know all around your communities. If you get a hold of your HOA, get a hold of your community association, let them know. And I suppose there'll be big advertisement out there for it. So get a lot of attendance. City holiday offices will be closed Thanksgiving Day the 28th and 29th, and then December 24th and 25th for Christmas, and then January 1st for New Year's Eve. Haslet is hiring. We need a city building inspector to help Mike with his duties. We need a city secretary still, and we need a parks and crew leader. I would still think that if you know a young man or young lady that would be interested in a job like that, that would be a good way to get their feet into public works work. And someday may replace James or who knows, but it's just, whatever. Way later, okay. But anyhow, but the point is, that's still a good way to get started. When we're looking for starter positions like this, I think it's a great thing to do. So if anybody knows a young person that, they don't want to go to college or they want to go maybe part-time or something like that, and they can work and do a job like that, I think it's great. Consent agenda, then item 4A, approval of the October 29th regular meeting minutes. Do we have any discussions amongst us? Can one of you make a motion?
I make a motion that we accept the meeting minutes as written.
I second it.
All right, all in favor? Passes. Okay, public hearings and actions. Item 5A, discuss. How come I missed 4B? I thought that was part of it. It's my eyes, I'm sorry. Discuss and consider approval, you're right. Yeah, maybe I didn't want to do that. Approval of the 2025 Planning and Zoning meeting schedule. So, I don't have any comments on the schedule, do you? It's just, right now, it's... Looks okay to me.
The May 27th is the day after Memorial Day, is that right?
I don't know.
That's we're good. Okay.
Memorial Day would be on a Wednesday?
On Monday. It's the day after.
So this is the day after Memorial Day, is Monday, yeah, okay. Is that okay? All right, any questions? All right, so I have a motion.
I make a motion that we accept the 2025 Planning and Zoning meeting schedule as written.
I second it.
All right, all in favor? Okay, item 4B. Now, item 5A. Discuss, consider, and act regarding the approval of a final plat of lots 1 and 2 for Quicktrip number 1861 addition. So, Mr. Staff presentation.
Yeah. Chairman Wallach and members of the board, this is a final plat that has 2 lots on it. Lot 1 is where the Quicktrip is going to be located, but the total property contains 9.093 acres, but it's 2 lots, but only the Quicktrip will be on 1 lot, and the use for lot 2 has not been decided yet. And if you can go to the plat, It's located just west of Harmon Road and north of Haslet Parkway. And the city engineers reviewed this, and we've been working with QD now for quite a while. And the engineer is recommending that we forward this to the city council with a recommendation of approval.
Can you go to the plat? I just had one question, and we may have talked about this last time, and I don't remember. There was a
Yeah, as you go down the west side of the property, it's like a panhandle.
Go up to the far north end of Lot 2. Far north end, yeah. Okay, there it is. What, just out of curiosity, that 30-foot right-of-way dedication, what is that for?
Harmon Road.
Harmon come up to the north end of them and hard,
Yeah, the thoroughfare plan has Harmon Road swinging to the east
That's
and
what I thought.
then north. But there's still, if it's not the major thoroughfare, if it was a major thoroughfare, it'd be like 55 foot from center line. But it's still going to be a commercial type street, even though it's not the main thoroughfare for it. And so it'll connect going west, and then it'll end up going north again up to Westport Parkway,
okay, like it used to,
like it does right now.
like it does now, except all the construction there. And we,
Right.
okay, so that's going to still,
Yeah, you'll be able to
at
go
one point in
west.
time, it was basically don't anybody go north on Harmon Road.
Yeah.
So now it's going to be open again, eventually.
Eventually, it will be when all this property develops. But in the interim,
Okay.
as that lot, 2 types starts to develop, probably that portion of it will be built in some form or fashion on the north side of this tract.
I got it. I was just curious because I remember the discussion about, Harmon Road going north being closed. And,
Yeah, well, it's really closed now to through traffic.
yeah.
Local
Just
traffic can go on
local
it
traffic.
just because of the condition of it. But eventually, it'll be, you can't cut off traffic to all those properties that currently face on there. And so there will be a road that'll be on the north side of this, going over to where it goes north up towards Westport Parkway.
So will Quicktrip then reconstruct the portion of Harmon Road that abuts both of these lots?
No, it'll be just involved in the area to the south from their north property line south.
Okay, just for Lot 1,
Yes,
just Lot 1. at
just
this
lot
time.
one.
So just so they have access into their facility.
That's correct.
Okay.
Because part of their access, when you look at the construction plans, will be on the north side of the track. They'll have access there. So there's going to be some lanes built down to Haslet Parkway.
Gotcha. Okay. All right, very good. Any questions? Anybody? Matt, you got anything? Okay. All right, so I'll take a motion on item 5A.
We asked the public.
I don't think we have public. It doesn't say we have public.
No, on plats, there's no public
No,
here.
we don't have any public input there.
Okay, I have a motion to approve to recommend the approval of the final plat of lots 1, 2 for a quick trip for 1861 addition.
A second.
All right, all approved? Okay, passed unanimously. Okay, here we go. Item 5B, discuss, consider, and act regarding the approval of the Grace Point site and landscape plan, staff presentation.
On this particular tract, there will be a public hearing, but what it is, it's a church. Grace Point Church is expanding mostly their parking lot, and also a couple little small wings on the front of it, on the north and the south side of it. But it's an existing structure, and they're just adding to it and building more parking. And they've got an engineering set of plans that go along with that. And once again, the staff has reviewed this, and we don't have any problems with what they're doing.
All right, so let's open the public hearing for item 5B at 6:40. Do we have anybody here that wants to talk to item 5B? I thought that was you guys. They were you guys? Yes. All right. So nobody here to talk to item 5B in the public hearing, so we will close the public hearing at 6:50. And discuss, consider an act on item 5B. Any questions?
I'll make a motion to recommend the approval of the Grace Point site and landscape plan.
I'll second it.
All right, all in favor? All right, well, that one passed. That was easy. Item 5C, discuss, consider, and act recommending an amendment to the Haslet subdivision ordinance and the Haslet zoning ordinance establishing minimum requirements and assigning responsibility for sidewalks throughout Haslet. No. I think that's you, Mr. Rogers, so if you want to.
I was tasked with this because our ordinance sidewalks in most places, sizes of the sidewalks, and how they were supposed to be and what they were supposed to be. So they were able to try to bring all of those together in one spot and to make it definitive because it's got a bunch of places where it refers to sidewalks and neighborhood amenities as a number of other different items.
Oh, that's why it didn't turn green. I was wondering if it's just me. So anyway, that's what we were trying to do is I was tasked with trying to bring it all into one spot to where we could have the size, the specifications, what the standard was going to be in one place instead of every time somebody went to look at a sidewalk, you had to go to 4 different locations, look at it this way. It told you different things. This one said 4 foot, that one said 5 foot. There was no consistency between all of them. So this was an attempt to try to bring them together and put them all in one spot. And then to make a responsibility, because in the other one, it was left it in a gray area in places you wasn't 100% sure one way or the other how it was worked. So we went through, we went around to, gosh, I think we looked at 18 different ordinances. I won't say that this is the best one of the bunch, but this is the one our attorney thought covered it the best and brought it together the best. But it's, because there were 2 pages. That was the entire sidewalk ordinance for some of the bigger cities, surprisingly. There was hardly anything in them. But we went through looking to see, how many cities around here did city responsibility. They take care of all sidewalks and everything, because what we were seeing in our ordinance led you to believe it was the homeowners, but it never 100% said that. So we went to check in other cities around. We contacted Allens, Mesquite, Garland, Forney, Louisville, Roanoke, Garland, Lancaster, Fort Worth, Dallas, Flower Mound. Flower Mound was probably one of the most interesting ones because Flower Mound is probably the closest at the time they wrote the ordinance to what Haslet is today as any place I've ever seen, the way they wrote theirs. Because they wrote their ordinance based on the fact that they were a rural community and had lots of neighborhoods with big lots that didn't have sidewalks. And then they had all these new neighborhoods coming in and they were building sidewalks. And they did the same thing the way our ordinance allows. It allowed developers to get out of building sidewalks along with the other public improvements and put that off to the actual home builders. So each individual sidewalk was, each individual home builder builds his little piece of sidewalk on his lot. And they decided that looking at how and what it was that they weren't going to make those people on the big lots that had been in their city for 20 plus more years, some of them 30, 40 years, through their taxes pay for repairing them in these brand new neighborhoods. They thought the new neighborhoods, because those people in them big lots weren't driving to that other neighborhood and walking around on their streets. Only the people in that neighborhood use the streets, so they put it off to that, and specifically said in their ordinance they were not going to maintain sidewalks, that sidewalks were going to be the adjacent property owners to take care of. And went on about their business because they said, we're not going to tax people who don't have a sidewalk for somebody else's sidewalk. That was their specific way of doing it, which was the only one that did that. Most everybody else was just, no, we just don't do it, or we do it. We found most people, especially in our area, most of the cities, Dallas, especially in Fort Worth, the biggest ones around here, they do not maintain sidewalks unless they're built by them. And that's what this ordinance does. Any sidewalk that is actually built by the city for a city reason, like this part of town here, all these sidewalks were done with a city project. This area did not have any sidewalks till the city built them. So these, we put in the ordinance, we maintain them. They're ours to take care of. The big sidewalk running along Schoolhouse Road, that's ours. We put it in. It's ours to maintain and take care of, but it puts the responsibility for all the others on the adjacent property owners. The only places in ours, how ours would be, is if we found a need for a sidewalk directly to a school or a park that's, city run or school district type thing. Then we would require the sidewalk, and it would be built to a city-specific standard, which usually would be bigger than a standard 5 foot. They would be probably a 6 or an 8, so you have two-way traffic on it. But other than that, that's what it does, and it puts it all in one place instead of having to go searching all through zoning, search through subdivision ordinance, back and forth. Go all the way back to the original general, chapter 1, to find a definition, then go back to another one. There's another definition in the subdivision ordinance. So this kind of just puts it all in one spot. Yeah, that's what we're wanting to see.
So talk to me real quick. So one of the things I've seen in older neighborhoods, not so much here, but in other towns, when the sidewalk falls apart, if the city's not going to fix it, how do we get the homeowner to fix it?
Most of the cities that have this end up through their code enforcement do it. Now, another thing we found, it depends on the city. Cities that had populations where there are lower income populations in the city, a lot of them put together programs, some using money from their 4B, from their transportation portion of that tax. Others, like Waco, Killeen, some of them down here, they just flat out went out there and they charge a fee every month. You can see it it's on your water trash bill. Everybody's paying money, and they're taking that money and putting it in a fund. They use that money in that fund to repair existing. And whenever they have buildups bigger, they're actually using the money to go in and put sidewalks in neighborhoods that never had sidewalks. They are just turned it into a huge, big program. It's the way theirs are doing it. And all of them are doing it. It's just a flat monthly fee. Like some cities have, your trash or your others, where they just got a monthly fee for sidewalk repair and maintenance and construction. They just made it across the board. Everybody pays it.
So does the existing ordinance require homeowners to be responsible for adjacent sidewalk?
It has it. Like I said, it's not, if you were going to go to court with it, it's so full of holes. It leads you that way. It talks about it that way, but it doesn't specifically spell it out and just say, this is who's responsible.
So it was a kind of, sort of, maybe.
That's the way they wrote it. They never really put it in just straight black and white.
So now you're trying to change that so that
we're just trying to clarify.
Each property owner, a single-family resident, that portion of sidewalk that goes from my property line to property line, that's mine to maintain.
Yes, that's the way the ordinance is being written.
Is that retroactive? Or is that from today, or from
No,
the
that's
city council?
all sidewalk neighborhoods other than ones built by the city. And that, like I said, that's here. That's the only one that ever got that.
So the old ordinance, when all these subdivisions have been built out here, did not state that.
In black and white, no.
And the attorney is saying that we can recommend approval for a new ordinance that will, and now all of a sudden,
Yeah.
all of us
Come to
are
find
now-
out, it was interesting, the ordinance written in Flower Mound is probably almost 20, almost 20, it's like 18 years ago when they wrote this. It was actually written by the same attorneys group.
Okay, but I'm just saying. So if city council were to approve this,
It
then
would
that would
become the new-
mean every subdivision in here that was built 20 years ago, all of a sudden those sidewalks belong to the homeowner. They can do that?
Yeah.
Retroactive?
Because they go back to the deal of, like the attorney said, okay, did Public Works, was it a part of a Public Works portion of a job? Because anything that the city maintains is usually part of Public Works, and they weren't. They were never inspected by Public Works, approved by Public Works, anything. Public Works had nothing to do with those sidewalks at that point. They were just built with the house.
No, I live in the Caraway subdivision, which is probably about, the oldest is about 5 years old. And I know just from walking through the neighborhood, there are numerous problems and areas where I've seen people come in and repair sidewalks from the developer, and they didn't do it properly. They didn't reinforce it. They didn't tie it into the slab next to it. And now they're moving. And so now we're going to throw the homeowners, now here's your $2,000 to $3,000 bill to fix something that we didn't inspect. Because I mean, there's a lot of concrete issues in Caraway, and I know, granted, concrete is really hard to do in this part of Texas.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, it's just the whole thing now is to take where we didn't enforce the developers to do their job properly, and now we're going to throw that bill onto the
Yeah,
homeowners.
and this is the same reason though, but then, like, say that, I've got a brother who lives in Haslet Park, they have no sidewalk.
Right.
If the city pays to fix a Caraway sidewalk, then he paid for fixing it. And he doesn't get any benefit of that sidewalk ever.
But if he gets charged a fee on his water bill.
Right. We also
Yeah,
play,
but that would
He's
be-
putting money without
we
the
also
benefit.
pay a PID that paid for all of that. So I pay
Yeah, so that's the problem I
$3,000.
hate about the way they allowed them.
Right.
They should have never probably done that, because since all the neighborhoods, new neighborhoods had PIDs on them.
Right. And so that, but
That
we
should have-
already are paying for the sidewalks
That should
with
have been a
the
part
money
of
we
what
paid on the
they were
PIDs.
getting with their money, but they weren't. They get only to pay for the sidewalk of that one over on the public, the HOA lots, everybody in the neighborhood pays for. But if something breaks on the one in front of somebody's house, the HOA doesn't pay for that.
I have,
That's all.
I have another question. I'm sorry.
Sure.
So,
No,
Take it
that's
to-
why I'm here, because,
Yeah.
man, I want people to ask questions about it.
so take it to
I'm
one.
not crazy about it either way, but I don't crazy about taking care of them, because we didn't inspect them as public ones like we did these here.
Right.
So I know how these was built. Those in the other neighborhoods, I have no idea. They could have been built using whatever they wanted to use.
So does our ordinance cover 156? Because we're getting ready to expand that thing, and part of what I saw on the map initially, or the drawings, was they're going to put a sidewalk on one side of those things. So is that our sidewalk? Is it the city, states?
Those
Who's
will
that?
be, yeah.
That's Texas.
Same thing with the Haslet Parkway. It's got sidewalks on it.
Right.
Those are going to be ours, because they were part
Now,
of.
it's a Haslet,
Yeah,
not
those are
state.
going to be ours to take care of and maintain.
Interesting.
That's why they're made bigger and heavier, and all done with, rebar and chaired, and
Yeah.
it's just and those roads are different. Now, just like this one, if QT goes in there and has to tear out and rebuild theirs or do something different, it would fall back, then it's theirs, because it's no longer ours if they go in and rebuild it to match however they want it to be. Because that happens in a number of areas where we've seen especially commercial, they tend to go in and they want a different, they don't like the just straight little sidewalks. They like other type sidewalks that meander around, do different things, create areas for dogs, you know, just whatever. They do a lot of other things with theirs.
So if somebody has to do a repair, is that something that the building inspector is going to?
Yeah,
Get a permit.
Right.
they would go get a permit specific to building that.
Right.
And with the new standard, they have to bring it up to the city standard, whatever.
Because that's
it
my
was.
other concern is, you know, if it was just going to be, go throw some concrete down, I mean, you never know what you're going to
That's the
get.
whole thing. Now this one creates a new standard detail. It has to be built this way from now on.
And David, to my knowledge, we've never repaired a sidewalk with the exception of ones in this area unless we specifically did the removal. If we remove the sidewalk for repair, then we put the sidewalk back. But we've never done a maintenance repair on a sidewalk
No,
in front of a
never.
property, ever. And that's been in my nearly 20 years and longer for you.
Well, if anything needed a public hearing, this sure did.
Well, this is the other thing, I know this covers sidewalks,
Man, that's just three of us up here?
but also you have I guess what you call it, the
I'm not so
throat of the
sure.
driveway? Did that cover under the same thing? Mm-hmm. Okay.
If what?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Basically like the throat of the
Basically,
driveway?
the approach.
The approach?
The
there you go.
approaches that they build, those are theirs also.
And then this just lists as a civil there's just civil liability. It wouldn't be, enforcement wouldn't go under code enforcement?
The way he put it in here right now, no.
It's that, this right here, in the event of responsible party fails to comply with the terms, it would just be all civil liability for injuries caused.
Which could be a lot.
How does this information get made known to the public here? For instance, you talk about your PID, and you guys, I don't know how that's set up. I assume part of your.
Yeah, we pay
how do
about,
they- How do they do?
we pay about $3,000 a year additional to our property taxes to pay
To
for.
the PID?
To PID, yeah.
For what? Maintaining
Basically the development,
the development?
the roads, the water,
Yeah.
the sewer,
It
gas lines.
maintains, you know, like they have the fountains and the ponds, it
Yeah,
takes
yeah,
care of the
yeah.
fountains, it takes care of the pond, it takes
Yeah, yeah.
care of the irrigation, sidewalk at the entry gates.
And the sidewalks, all that stuff.
Just the HOA
Just the
sidewalks,
HOA lot
open space
sidewalks.
sidewalks, the things.
Pardon me?
Open space sidewalks.
Yeah.
Things
All
like
of
that,
the-
not the sidewalks in front of the home.
Only the sidewalks in front of the homes are not included.
That's what you're saying there. In
Yeah.
their PID takes care of HOA facilities.
Yeah,
But
as part of
as
that.
of right now, under
And
the
it does that and
loosey-goosey.
it pays back the loan, the bonds that
Yeah,
the
yeah,
developer,
I know
borrow
all
to
about
build
that.
the thing.
I just wondered about what you
Yeah.
are now.
but it pays for that too.
The sidewalks are required, but they're put in with the building of the home.
Yeah, I know this is going to greatly increase the use of vinyl concrete patch.
Well, all I know is my HOA doesn't have it, we don't have any fees, anything like that in the meadow. And if,
You don't have any anymore?
pardon me?
You don't have any HOA fees covering the
No,
entry?
not covering sidewalks, no.
Yeah. Y'all
Well-
y'all own a couple little pieces of sidewalk,
Go.
not much.
We have a couple detention, but yeah, in front of the.
Sidewalks in front of those detention areas and stuff,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
HOA.
those-
And that's the same thing they have. They have public areas where there are
Yeah.
detention areas and stuff,
Yeah,
that's
we
what
have
their
two
HOA
detention
owns.
ponds.
Yeah, trails that go around the property and that, yeah.
And we don't have any trails. We have other bits. Our sidewalks are our trails. So you're saying under the old ordinance, that was loosey-goosey
Yeah.
about who's going to
It
make.
didn't really, it said, you know, it was an amenity for those neighbors and that it was built that way and done that way, and it was left that it was kind of supposed to be theirs to maintain and take care of, but it never put it down in just plain black and white. This is what it's supposed to be. That's why it was like always, anytime something came up, it was like, well, we don't have it in the ordinance that we maintain it, and it doesn't specifically 100% say you do.
So in Ashmore Farms and the Meadow, you're saying Fred Joyce built the streets, but he didn't build the sidewalks?
Nope, not a one. And Ashmore doesn't have any at all.
Ashmore doesn't have any, we do.
They don't have any, only the Meadow was the first one that had sidewalks. Even though the ordinance has required sidewalks since I started working here in 1987, we still have,
And they still didn't
but they didn't require them to put them
require
in.
them in Ashmore?
Nope, they allowed them to get out from underneath it.
Well, I don't want to be the one telling the people in the meadow. If they-
Well,
Actually, I
and
had a
that's the thing.
Actually, I did have a question come up about 2 years ago, where out in front, it was the curb. I think it was the curb. Wasn't the sidewalk, it was the curb. Started spalling, rebar was exposed. And he asked me if the HOA would take care of that. And I said, no, that's the city. If it's the
Yeah, because
curb.
we had one that we had to tell him, no, it's your fault because of what you did. He tied his sidewalk to the curb, but he did not, again, go get a permit and all and do it correctly. So he drilled in about this low into the top of the curb, so when his
Popped
sidewalk went boom, it popped the whole top of the curb off. Well, that again was your fault. One, you
Well,
weren't supposed to tie it.
That one I understand, yeah.
You weren't supposed to tie it to the sidewalk. But yeah, if it just the curb gets,
So what do
danged
they
up and
do
banged
for
up,
you, Lynn?
yeah.
I've seen them, I don't know. I honestly
You
don't know.
don't-
I don't know how to answer that question. I do have a question though, okay, and this I promise to be my last one, I hope.
No, it's,
What if we do nothing? Because tonight, is there an urgency to get this thing done like right now? Because I'm concerned what he's saying about we're putting a
no,
several thousand
this
dollar
is
burden
not
on
like,
homeowners.
it's, everybody's gonna drop dead tomorrow for it. No, it's trying just to get this so that, because we have it come up every once in a while. So far, it's always been because somebody did something where they drove over their own thing, building
Yeah.
a swimming pool and wanted the city to come build them a new sidewalk. It's like, no, we don't do that.
But we have sidewalks in the meadow. We have them here in North
North
Glen and in the Vines and all that stuff's got sidewalks now. Okay. So the rest of the city, like I said, where your brother lives, up on the hill, everywhere else, they don't have them. As far as they're concerned, they'd be tickled to death to have it. They don't care if that passes or not. There's no monkey off their back, is what
No.
I'm saying. So we're talking about the subdivisions that, I don't know, were you aware that you were responsible for the sidewalk in front of your house?
Like I say, it's never explicitly stated, but that was the feeling
You had the feeling about that?
yeah.
And you don't know?
I don't know, but
And
I
didn't-
assume.
And I didn't know, I've been here
Yeah,
10 years, I had
yeah.
no idea. I had no idea. I mean, that's all brand new to me,
Yeah.
coming from Houston area where I was. I mean, maybe I was there too, and I just didn't know it.
A lot of people don't know it, but it's, like I say, we found out, I was surprised at how many do it different ways, but most of them, it's the adjacent property owner, almost always. And if they don't have them responsible, then they have some kind of program. There's only a couple of cities around that take it on totally as their own. Roanoke did, and I talked to their people over there, and the reason Roanoke did was because the old town had sidewalks originally, and as they expanded out, they got all the new neighborhoods. Well, they had all, back in their time, they had all the sidewalks built when the subdivision went in. And so they decided, well, we inspected them, we did everything, they were built our way, so they were gonna take them over, and they used part of their transportation sales tax money coming in. They're one of the ones that's going back, and in a few neighborhoods, they only had a couple that did not have sidewalks that they go in as soon as they get enough money built up where they can afford to put a good project together, they'll go out and spend $1 million putting in sidewalk, trying to conventionally, they want to connect every neighborhood in the entire city together somehow. They've got plans for trails through creeks, whatever, to get things connected. So they have a big, big plan for how they're going to do theirs.
Yeah, they got a lot of money.
Yeah. Scooter them got a lot of money.
And you've never done sidewalk repairs, right?
Yeah, to the best of my knowledge, we've never done maintenance repairs. If we
Now, I
remove
understand
the
if you,
panel
if you've been,
for,
to repair water lines,
Yes.
so they got to tear out the sidewalk, you're gonna put it back. I understand that.
yeah, so even though not
But if
explicitly
in front
stated,
of-
we've,
In front of my house, if all of a sudden I had 1-inch separation on there, you would not come out there and take that section of
Correct, the
sidewalk out.
homeowner has traditionally already made those repairs if they were needed.
Okay, I have another question. Doesn't our property line, I thought, ends on my side of the sidewalk? Or does it end on?
Center of the street,
Center of
correct?
the street.
No, not on our.
But the right-of-way line
Not
is
on
the
our-
back of the sidewalk, usually. if
The
it's a-
right-of-way line is the back of the sidewalk.
Yeah, so it's the same as like irrigation, where you have irrigation all the way into the right-of-way, that's still a homeowner's
Yeah,
responsibility.
the irrigation is.
Yeah, same with
But the property line, the right-of-way, the 60-foot right-of-way. of that
No, so
street-
that's what he's talking about.
Yes,
Otherwise, if the right-of-way was just free and clear city property.
Sure.
Real property.
Sure.
Then the city wouldn't let you put irrigation out there in the front because when they come in and work on the street, they tear up your irrigation, they're having to replace it. They would say, no, keep it in your property, not in our property. But in actuality, your property, when they plat these things out, the lines run to the center of the road and the right-of-way is laid over the top of it.
Yeah,
It's considered a private improvement on public property. Sidewalks, the irrigation, and that's a common thing that you'll have.
so where you own the property, but it's within that right-of-way, so it's, city has control over to a certain point of what's done out there. But it's still owned by to the center line of the road, correct? That's almost,
Yeah, it's really a
I don't think that's
misconception.
flat show
You know,
that
when you have right-of-way, it's the right of the city to have a road out there. But it's not fee simple ownership unless the city goes out there and actually purchases.
so it's dedicated.
But it's just dedicated for the public purposes of building a road.
Yeah,
But if you were to abandon it, it would go to the center line, half
If the
each
city decide to
direction.
take the street out in front of your house and do away with it, you get to the center and the other guy gets to the center. City doesn't get to, sell it to you or sell it to somebody else. If they do away with a right-of-way dedication, it goes to the adjacent property.
okay. I've
Have to remember that next time somebody
I was gonna
parks in
say-
front of the house.
seen
This is my
several,
property, get out, yeah.
Yeah,
seen
it's,
several where the
You
city
know,
abandons a right-of-way, abandons a road, so and they're abandoning that right-of-way. They have to dispose of it. They don't just give it back to the property. Anyhow,
No,
that's
we-
what I've seen, but years. It may be
Yeah, we've
different.
done that here. We had this
Okay.
part of town especially, used to actually have alleys behind everything back in the old days.
Well-
And when they decided, hey, we don't have anything in there, we don't ever do anything with it.
All right.
So they abandoned the dedication for the alleyways and all, and it went half and half,
All right.
back to the adjacent
Heck,
properties.
I retired 10 years ago. Maybe I forgot all that. I don't know.
No, there
all
are
right.
places.
So here's-
There are places, because we have one street, for whatever reason, one single street in Hugh White was, for whatever reason, actually done that way. There's only one that their property lines stop at the back of the right of way. And I don't know, it was one of these, for good and reasonable $10 or whatever, because when they were doing all the oil and gas drilling here around Haslet, we got this notice at City Hall that going, hey, do you want to sell your rights? And we go, what rights? We don't know nothing underneath the road. That belongs to somehow, some way back in the early 80s, in 81, 82, when they were going to do the road, they actually purchased a piece of road in Hugh White. Why they bought only that one piece never made any sense to me. I don't know why they picked one piece, but the city gets oil royalties from underneath, the oil and gas royalties from underneath one piece of street in the entire city.
So the mayor back then made you guys buy it, huh?
Yes, I was going to ask where the mayor back then lived.
Whoever owned it made you
We
buy
don't
it.
know
for-
why they did
Is that
it.
what
We
it
never
was?
could find any reason why they did that.
Okay, so a legal question. So now that sidewalk in front of my house gets a separation, vertical separation, and somebody trips and falls and breaks their arm. That's on me?
Yeah.
You aware of that?
Yes, I am.
Yeah. Most insurance policies it actually spells that out as one of the things that you are liable for.
Yeah.
not in this city, but some other cities, the question has really come up, especially when you have bar ditches. Who's responsible for maintaining and mowing those? Right. And if you look at all the research and all legal, it is the property owner that is supposed to maintain it to the street surface in bar ditch situations. It's not the city. The cities don't go out there and mow those bar ditches.
No,
It's the property
I would
owners.
think the home, I mean, just for aesthetics.
Yeah.
Aesthetics that you would want to.
But it's the same way with whatever is out there, whether it's irrigation or sidewalks, it's still in, that the land has not been deeded over fee simple. If it was deeded over fee simple, like that one road was, then that's a whole different animal. But here, it's not. If you look at the plats, it says dedicated to the public use as a street or utility easements. It's not given to the city as ownership.
Yeah, that's why
Like I
we
said,
don't.
if any of these things needed a public hearing, this was it.
This is it, yeah, and we have.
I was surprised it didn't have to have one, if you want to know the truth, but it didn't.
It doesn't require a public hearing.
Nope.
Well, they could do it at the city council meeting.
Yeah.
But it still wouldn't be a public hearing.
Right.
I mean, you'd have to know to show up.
Right.
Did anybody know to show up tonight besides
Well,
the three of us?
No.
It was posted, but I don't think anybody took the time to read it.
Of course not.
It's the difference between a zoning case and a subdivision rules and regulations applications. Subdivision rules and regulations has to have 72-hour posted notice, and that's what has happened. It's appeared on the website.
Yep.
So people need to, if you want to stand to, sometimes you just gotta log on and see what's going on.
Yep.
Wow.
So there's nothing, all of a sudden this. And people get complacent.
Yeah.
I mean, who's gonna log? I don't know.
Well, it's just like if it was advertised in the paper. I was talking, I think, to Katrina the other day, and says nobody gets the paper anymore.
Exactly.
Right.
No,
And so-
we're required by state law to
Yeah.
put it in the paper.
Advertise in forward telegram. Who gets that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we had a notice in the paper for the site plan.
Yeah. Spent the money for that,
We had to spend the money for that.
and no one reads it.
Nobody reads it, and that when we put it in the paper, it's for the council meeting and also for the planning and zoning commission. We double notify in there, and people choose if that's what's required by law. Now, if it's a zoning case, we have to notify everybody within 200 feet. That's a different
You have to mail
animal.
it.
Yeah, those are mail outs.
Those are mail outs. So.
But in practice, this has already been going on for, like I said, my entire time here. We don't have a lot of old and aging sidewalks. It does come up from time to time, but the homeowner is already taking responsibility and replacing ones if they're getting replaced.
Well, I don't feel comfortable acting on this tonight, especially without Greg.
I don't either. I like I said, I think we need
Especially
to.
without Greg here.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No,
Would do it again.
this is the
Let him-
first, I figured this is going
Since
to be
he's been
out.
on P and Z for 100 years, he might be aware. of it.
Yeah, Greg's grown up here.
Yeah. Well, I have,
He's been here so long.
yeah. To
Or they could table. couldn't they?
Motion to table.
Just table it.
Yeah.
Just
Okay, I make a
table it.
motion
That
that
way
we
it just
table this for the next
automatically
meeting.
comes
Okay,
I second it.
all right, all in favor? Okay, motion is table. No, yeah, motion was to table. We're going to table item 5C until the next meeting. And we'll do it again. Okay, all right. Table. All right. Item 6, status of current development projects. Any questions about that? When we looked at that, everything's just moving along. You got any comments, Mike? Anything about what's going
You're
on?
getting a new wave though, aren't you? You're getting a new wave of building permits again, aren't you? Somewhat.
It's not as steep as it was last time, but it's kind of rising a little bit.
Phase 2 of Sweetgrass to come in.
Yeah.
Okay, So still getting building permits and some, okay. How about industrial stuff? Is that pretty much slowed down, or?
Is what you've heard tonight
The what?
and what you've heard tonight, so QT
Yeah,
and
just QT and stuff? Okay. And the church, okay, all right. Item 7, future items.
Yes. I've got 3 things listed here that are on the horizon. One of them is a Freeman Toyota, will be zoning and platted on that. It's a 38-acre tract east of Harmon Road and west of I-35. And then the Laterra Commercial.
Yeah, where Harmon.
Where Blue Mound Road dead
Blue
ends.
Man Road, yeah, dead ends, and Harmon heads a big right down that track going that way. So they'll be coming in next month, you think?
Well, they've already submitted, and things are under review right now. And so it'll probably be a month. It may be 2 months before it gets here, but when it
But
gets,
it's coming.
but it's coming.
Right.
Laterra Commercial, there's 3 lots that are in final plat stages on Laterra Commercial, which is just,
Yeah, this stuff here. Yeah.
and then we need to have a work session. There's between 300 and 500 acres between Harmon Road and Harmon Road Extended and 35. Just what the commission would like to see there as far as land use. That's a lot of commercial land. That's what it shows on the master land use plan. But the question is that reality, that there'll be that much commercial? And so we'd like just to sit down and discuss it and get the commission's thoughts on it. In a work session type, nothing to vote on that night, but just something on a work session just to see what you think needs to happen there.
So that would be north of Freeman Toyota,
It would be north and south,
north and south.
all the way from Keller Hicks.
Okay, down to Keller Hicks. Yeah.
Keller Hicks all the way up to basically Schlotsky's.
Up to Slot.
Yeah.
Up to Slotsky's.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, because we get, that whole area could be developed right now as warehouses.
Right.
If the floodgate would open.
Right.
And we'd let it, but we haven't let it, happen. So we'd just like to get the commission's take on it and say, well, is that really going to all develop as commercial? Well, we don't know. Is it just going to be half of it along the frontage, or what do you do with the rest of it? And so we just want to discuss it.
Has the city asked you to, or somebody to come up with any concept ideas out there?
Well, I've come up with several concept ideas, but we've had private developers come up with concept ideas too. So we just want to sit down and have a time where we
Okay,
can
other
discuss it.
words, if we're going to do that, say next month, it's not from scratch. Somebody's going to have something they could say, here's some thoughts and ideas and things that we've kicked around. Because none of us are planners.
Right. Well, I can show you some things that I've sort of drawn up, but it's one of those things where you're not planners, but you know what you want to see in your city
Or maybe what we don't want.
and what you don't want.
Not so much what we want, but what we don't want.
Yeah.
I know there were a lot of ideas along Haslet Parkway when we were going, when all of the right-of-way acquisition and the developers given property, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, none of that's happening yet, probably because Haslet Parkway is, of course, it's opened out intermodal, but still, it was just a lot of concept stuff. When Thad was running that, I don't know how much P&Z got involved in that. I was on the type A economic development and saw a lot of that stuff going on there. Okay, well, that's fine. That'd be great. I mean, if you want to bring some ideas, or, if any of you guys are creative,
And it's not
you can come up with
necessarily
your own ideas.
Yeah, it's not necessarily us bringing a bunch of ideas. We just want to sit down. You may say, no, let's leave it like that. Leave it all just general commercial and see what happens. And that's an option.
Do nothing's always an option.
It is. It is.
Yeah, do nothing is always an option.
Let me put it this way. Out there in that corridor, I've had requests for single-family, townhouse, multifamily, industrial, and very little commercial, but except for now, Freeman Toyota. And so we've seen the gamut of things, but what does the city want? And we know what they don't want. They don't want truck
So
traffic.
have we turned down single-family, multifamily, this and that? Have we basically turned a lot of stuff down?
We have, and there's some reasons why we have. For one thing, it's an airport development zone and no residential is allowed in there.
Well, that's easy.
That's an easy one.
So don't even bring that to me.
But the thing of it is, Caraway used to be in that area too, but it was taken out. I don't know how it was taken out, but it was taken out at one point. It
But
used
they
to be.
still get airplanes flying right over their houses.
They do.
Yeah. You still feel the jet?
And there's
The
certain
jet
other
stream.
things that are not allowed, like anything of group quarters, schools, or daycares even, or health facilities that accumulate, more than
Yeah,
just.
not allowed.
They're just not allowed,
Yeah.
the way it's set up right now, so. But then you have a hotel, so.
Can have a hotel. So who has jurisdiction telling you that you can, is that the airport?
Well, it's
FAA.
actually in our ordinances, that development, but I think probably Hillwood had some input on that,
Okay, all right.
yeah.
Federal Aviation.
Yeah,
and
FAA and
City of
stuff like
Fort
that.
Worth, and FAA guys.
Huh?
Those FAA guys, you know.
I know, they're terrible, hard to deal with, man.
They're some of the worst
And the
people.
Corps of Engineers even worse.
But at this point, Fort Worth used to, or still own a bunch of property in that corridor.
Yeah.
But they're selling it now,
Yeah. Okay.
so.
All right, well, very good. So, we've seen that stuff. Anything else? Okay, then we will adjourn at 7:31. Okay.
Sidewalks would be so much fun. I enjoy that kind of thing.
A beer garden?